Guys, welcome or welcome back again to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, you're welcome. My name is Gbemi Olatunji and I make videos about lifestyle and lab science. And if you're interested in any of those content, please click the subscribe button to join my family. So guys, today I have a very lovely topic to talk about, and I got inspired by this because I saw a post, or rather a comment on a post talking about how boring this job, which is med lab science, how boring the profession could get and probably tiring. And I got inspired. Like, I feel people complain about med lab science being boring or being too monotonous, because sometimes people might not even be aware of the options you have as a med lab scientist. So as a med lab scientist or a biomedical scientist, you're not fixed in just one role. Like, your role is diverse. You can work as different or in different kinds of organization. It's not fixed. And yeah, so that brings us to the topic of today. Today I'm going to be talking about five, and then I'm going to have a bonus at the end. So if you want to know the bonus, definitely stay to the end. I'm going to be talking about 5 major job opportunities you have as a med lab scientist, or 5 career paths you have as a med lab scientist. And don't forget, like I said, I'm going to be having a bonus at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Gotta be something different. So my number one is number one because that's my current role, right? Currently I work in the hospital and I'm a med lab scientist. So the first place you can work as a med lab scientist is in the hospital as a lab scientist. So basically, you perform your role as a lab scientist. What's your role as a lab scientist? Diagnosis and analysis of specimens, right? Analysis of specimens to be able to aid diagnosis. So for instance, when a sick person comes into the hospital, he or she probably has 1 or 2 symptoms, and the clinicians are guessing that, oh, it could be malaria, it could be renal disease, it could be liver disease, it could be anything, it could be a bacterial infection. They are not sure, right? They're just guessing. It could be anemia, whatever the case may be, whatever disease condition it may be, it's just guessing. So usually in the hospital, what happens is that they send the patient, if it's an outpatient, they send the patient to the laboratory to get their samples collected, and then would analyze. They'll raise or they'll request for specific tests that they need to do to confirm diagnosis, right? Or if the patient is a sick patient in the ward, they collect the samples and then they send the samples to the lab. So we as med lab scientists, or as a med lab scientist, when you work in the hospital, you have the role of analyzing samples to aid diagnosis. You have the role of diagnosis, basically, which is very important because you cannot just treat. You could be treating for something else and then it's something else. So that shows how important or how vital our role as med lab scientists is. So that's the first place you can work in the hospital. Another place I'll be talking about is in universities and schools as a lecturer. So of course, for you to lecture med lab students, med lab science students, you have to be a medical laboratory scientist. So when I was in school, when any other med lab scientist was in school, they were lectured by med lab science. So what I'm trying to say is that people who lecture or teach student med lab scientists are also medical laboratory scientists. So if maybe eventually you get tired of bench work, or you don't really want the bench work, maybe because of the hazard and all of that, you can opt in for lecture, to be a lecturer. But of course it means that you have to have gotten to a certain level educationally. Like, the academic qualification required is clearly higher than just a BSc, so it means you have to further first before you can be a lecturer. But I mean, like, being a lecturer could be cool. If that's your vibe, then by all means you can just go into lecturing, and you feel fulfilled also. So guys, it's getting interesting, and from this one from number 3, I'm going to be talking about the ones that are not that common. And starting with number 3, the third place you can work in as a med lab scientist is a forensic medical center. So basically, you work in a forensic medical center for crime investigations. So in cases where there is in a situation where there's a crime case, as a med lab scientist, you could help in investigation to maybe for like suspects. Maybe it's a case of a rape situation or killing or something. You can work in a forensic medicine to be able to recognize the actual crime suspect. So we could have like a couple of suspects, and then for us to confirm the person, we have to go into forensic medicine. So basically, forensic medicine makes use of samples like hair strand, fingerprints, toxicology, all those kind of samples. They're just going to analyze it with that of maybe the victim. So let's say, for instance, it's maybe like a rape case and there is a suspect. So usually for a rape case, it means the rapist has had his hands or her hands on the victim, right? So they could probably get like a skin snip of portions where the patient, the victim was clearly held, and then take fingerprints of the actual suspect. Now we run DNA analysis on them, and then if they compare it, of course we know that no two human beings have the same fingerprint. So if they compare and investigate and find out that okay, the one we have from the suspect is the same thing with the one we have on the victim, then it means this person is definitely the person. So this is of course, to work in a forensic or as a forensic medical scientist, you need to probably further your studies apart from the BSc or BMLS that you might have. You might need to go further, but it's really cool, and I feel like it's fascinating because different days, different experiences, and I don't think you're going to get bored. I don't think it's going to be boring. I don't think it's going to be monotonous. I feel like it's going to be diverse, and then you could learn, and it's actually a very good path if you actually want to do it. But then you have to further your studies and have like probably your master's, probably your PhD, and specialize in some certain aspect of med lab science. But as a medical laboratory scientist, this kind of opportunities actually were open to you. The first place you can work in as a med lab scientist that I'll be talking about is in a molecular laboratory. So in a molecular laboratory, we test DNA and RNA sequences. It's actually molecular lab, makes use of the PCR. In molecular laboratory, I would say it's a very specific and more accurate means of identification of viruses and the likes. So for instance, we have what we call a window phase, where a random strip, let's say you want to do serology of a patient, like the HIV status, hepatitis status. If it's a situation where that person was just infected, the person might still be in the window period, and that means that even if you do the rapid strip test, you might not actually get a positive result. But if you use the PCR, even if it's just on the onset of infection, the PCR is going to be able to give you the adequate and accurate answer as at the time of sample collection. So whether it was just now or 2 days ago or 3 days ago, as far as this PCR, whatever virus is going to be identified. So basically, the PCR is done in a molecular lab, like I said, and it is for accurate and more detailed analysis. So as a med lab scientist, this is an opportunity that's so open for you. All you probably need to do is probably get maybe like your master's in molecular biology, and probably receive some more training, and then you can comfortably work in a molecular lab. You might work as a molecular scientist or a molecular biologist. and you find yourself making like very detailed analysis. This is another very exciting and promising place where you can work as a med lab scientist. The fifth place I'm going to be talking about as of today's video is in fertility clinics. So as a med lab scientist, you can work in fertility clinics. We know with the onset of technology, there are so many ways in which people could actually get pregnant, have a baby. We have the IVF, we have different methods of actually fertilization, right? So, and of course these fertility clinics, they will definitely need a med lab scientist. As a med lab scientist, you can work in a fertility clinic for semen analysis, for semen cryopreservation and storage, like semen banking. You also be the one responsible for hormonal assays, because of course when we talk about fertility is incomplete without hormonals, and we need to do hormonal tests. Who is going to run this test? Is a med lab scientist. You probably might need 1 or 2 more qualifications though, like I said, because I really don't know in-depthly on how you can actually work about this as the time I'm filming this video, but I strongly believe that you might need 1 or 2 more extra qualifications. And I mean, you get your qualifications and you find yourself working, and you'll be helping so many couples as in get their dream of having a baby, so this is another very very promising and very good means of job opportunity as a med lab scientist. I have 5, but then I'll be giving a bonus at the end of the video. So congratulations if you watch to this point, because you're going to hear the bonus. So the bonus tip is you can work in a blood bank as a med lab scientist. So we all know, like if you've ever worked in a hospital, you know the rapid need for blood. Like patients need blood on a daily basis, and of course it's not just that you get the blood from somebody and put it in the other person. It has to go through screening. The donor has to go through screening, cross match, and we also have different components of blood. We have the packed cell, platelets, plasma, fresh frozen plasma. We have different components of blood, right? So we need, of course, the person in charge of this, the person that is going to be preparing the blood components, screening the blood and everything, is who a med lab scientist. So as a med lab scientist, you can work in a blood bank. You can probably even have a blood bank, and you're going to be saving lives for sure. You're going to be saving lots of lives. So yeah, that's my bonus tip, or my bonus career progression you can have as a med lab scientist. Yes guys, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed all the points I gave, and I hope it was probably able to help you, just in case you were bored of the day-to-day work that you do or something. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've not subscribed, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and join my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.